I am here to help you shine your brilliance, access your genius, and align your body, mind, heart, and soul to live your best life. ASEA Redox, energy and vitality, ends aches and pains, replenishes your skin, eliminates wrinkles, recalibrates your system, improves performance, improves clarity, stops rapid aging of your cells, cell nutrition for advanced absorption. Live your best life now. Sign up today at shopasea.com/joanofangels.
Hello, everyone, wherever you are in this realm. Do you want to know tonight what you can learn from ghosts? Very exciting. Like, ever wonder about that? What do ghosts have to share with us? Why do people even like ghost hunting? And do they have any wisdom for us today? Welcome to Shine Your Brilliance. It's where we illuminate extraordinary stories of people who actually dare to follow their unique path and passions. And I think certainly ghost hunting would be definitely a unique passion and path. So tonight, prepare yourself as we go into an unforgettable journey. I think we're going to learn a lot from our guest, Charlotte Sanchez-Kosa. Now, before I introduce her, I want to just remind you that I'm Joan of Angels. I'm an intuitive guide and a transformational coach, as well as a soul portrait artist, painting and showing you what you actually look like on those other realms, which helps you live your best life now. So guys, if that's of interest to you, check us out at joanofangels.com and check out the visionary art there as well. Now, meanwhile, if you're new to the channel, be sure to do that traditional thing, subscribe, like, and share so we can grow the channel and also comment. And this should be a great show for you to comment on. There's going to be a lot of interesting stuff as we actually learn about what we can learn from ghosts. And I thought that was really fascinating. Now, our guest is Charlotte Sanchez-Kosa. As I mentioned, she is a seasoned paranormal investigator, dedicating over 20 years to unraveling mysteries of the supernatural. So imagine growing up in a haunted house. Well, I don't know if I really can, where the whispers of spirits spark a lifelong quest for answers. Yes, and I would have those questions too. Charlotte did just that. She started seeking to find out the answers. Her journey took her to the darkest corners of the paranormal world. Oh gosh, leading over 200 spine-chilling investigations. Her brilliance doesn't end there. She has a background, a 25-year career as an award-winning journalist and photojournalist, and she's actually reported on everything from crime and courts to public health and water. Relentless pursuer of truth, working in the newsrooms of Sacramento. So tonight we're going to dive deep into Charlotte's world, where her passion meets her purpose. She's even produced, by the way, and starred in her own TV shows, blending her investigative skills with her passion for storytelling. So we're going to dive in with her. She's got a very amazing background. Hello, Charlotte. Welcome.
Hello, how you doing?
You have such an exciting background. I'm like so excited. I feel like, especially with your Black background, like we're going to have a portal into this other realm.
So, portal. Well, the portal's in my living room, my fireplace. So I mean, it's all coming down the hall this way towards me.
Aha! So, what do you mean the portal is by your fireplace?
There is an open portal within my fireplace. That's where they're all coming from.
So that's where you see some of the ghosts around you in your home.
Yeah. There's a lot of activity. A lot of activity in here. There's always people around me.
Okay, so who's with you tonight? Oh, this is great. This is even better than I thought.
my mother is here. She's always here with me watching these things, and I think my dad might be here too. And my brother gets a kick out of this too. I don't know if he's here today, but I know my mother's here because I can smell. Here's something I did, and here when she passed away, because my mother had Alzheimer's, and I took care of my mom, both my mom and dad. I retired from doing daily journalism to freelancing because I was taking care of my mom and dad. And so that was almost 10 years that I had been retired. And there's always the stories that when a ghost comes, sometimes you will smell lilac or you will smell something in relation to them. And I thought, well, when my mother passed, I knew that she didn't want to go to the coroner's office dirty, so I gave her a bath. I did a bath, and I put this certain soap on her that had a certain scent. And so the day she died, my friends and I were in the living room, and you could smell her walking around the house.
That's so interesting. My sister, so my mom wore Shalimar all the time. And this
Hmm.
doesn't happen to me, but my sister feels my mom's presence when she smells the Shalimar.
Yes,
So now,
yes.
but now, is your mom actually a ghost, or is she what I would call a departed loved one who gives you wisdom? Like, what's the difference here?
It's both there. I think she's a departed loved one who just likes to hang out because she misses me because she and I did a lot together. We were like two peas in a pod. And I
Uh-huh.
remember I would listen to Coast at night, right, of old shows, and I would get worried because she was 86, and I was like, Mom, why do you want to listen to The Exorcism? She goes, Oh no, I find this interesting. As close as she was to death, she was listening to all this stuff. Plus, she would go ghost hunting with me. She was my supervisor. She was so funny because I would like when I used to go, I'd have a table that I would set up outside the house so that the monitors and everything were outside, so it wouldn't interfere inside. And so when I had to go in, she would watch the monitors. And I remember it hit around midnight, and people would come out, and she because I have all this equipment, and she'd tell somebody, she'd say, "Is that your piece of equipment?" And they'd say no. But she said, "Well, then put it in the box." So she would watch everybody and watch the monitors. And it was nothing to her because towards the end, of course, her psychic abilities were up. So she was seeing stuff in the house and seeing stuff in these different places we were at. It was fun. So I know she's here. She comes here a lot. And I could tell because I could smell her when she comes, when she's
So,
around me.
so when she comes, it's a really good feeling, and she has a lot of
Yes,
wisdom for you, or she just likes to be on
yes.
your okay.
She
So,
just likes to be. I mean, just hanging out would be like Nancy Matz told me one time that I was going to go to the store, and she was standing by the door waiting for me, so we could get in the car and go to the store. Because it's just to her, it's just another plane of existence. It's not that they're dead or they're gone. They've just gone to a thing where we can't really see them unless we have psychic abilities to view them,
right.
but they're still around. And
Well,
it's made me feel, doing ghost hunting. That's the one thing with ghost hunting. I used to be afraid of death.
mhm.
Everybody is, but since I've been ghost hunting for the last 20 years. I'm not afraid of death anymore because I know that you just keep going. It's just your body breaks, and the rest of you just keeps going.
Well, let's talk about that in a second. I want to invite my
Yeah.
dear friend Tina Marie Gill, if you're out there, because she used to be the back person on my StreamYard. Every week,
Hmm.
Miracle did probably hundreds of shows, and then she passed
Yeah.
away in December. So I'd like to invite her to be here with us. Oh, and now my mother wants to come. So I didn't think of
See?
them as ghosts, as the ghosts we would invite. So how about if we ask everyone in the audience to invite your departed loved ones? Let's like just all kind of have a juicy feeling of really connecting and see if everyone can
Well,
feel
that's the
that.
thing too, and what people don't realize is during the holidays,
Mm-hmm.
they should look for signs that your loved ones are there because that's when they gather around you more. They're all going to come for the holidays. They still like coming for Thanksgiving. They still like coming for Christmas, and they're around a lot more. And that's like even Halloween because I do a big deal for Halloween in my front yard, and
Of
I'm
course
standing
you
out
would.
there. I'm standing out there observing it, and all of a sudden I smell my mom, and I'm like, yeah, you're watching too. I get it, to see what I did. But it's been like I said, it's been an interesting adventure. My father's here. My father, when I was when I was told I had congestive heart failure, because he had congestive heart failure for years. It runs on that side of the family.
Mm-hmm.
Weird things were happening in this house, and I had an app on my phone at that time. I hate those apps, but I had an app on my phone for EVP work, and the app came on by itself, and there was a message on there that said "Hospital Now." That's before I knew what I had, and I kind of blew it off because I thought that's weird, even though somebody has to physically push the button. And then where he used to sit over at
Hospital
my
Now
little,
showed up on your phone. I'm sorry.
yeah, on my phone, yeah,
And you
Hospital
didn't
Now.
press this, and so was that your
No,
mother?
that was my. I found out later it was my dad.
That was your dad telling you to go to the
Because he and
hospital?
I kind of had a not great relationship towards the end, and so I was mad when he passed, and I just thought,
Mm-hmm.
stay away from me, don't talk to me for a while. So that happened, and then he over my little breakfast bar area over there. That's where he would sit and watch TV. That was his perch. And I noticed that the light bulb that's above there would never stay on right. It was always fluctuating. And I thought, oh my God, there's got to be a short up there and all that. And then I went to do the different tests because they want to put that stuff into your veins so they can see where the stuff's flowing and all that. Every time
Mm-hmm.
I would go, my blood pressure would shoot up and the heart would start racing, so they wouldn't take me.
Mm-hmm.
So the last time I went, I was sitting in this little room, this prep, just waiting for my turn, and I was listening to this radio station, and it was a pop station, very popular pop station here in Sacramento. And all of a sudden, the music changed to a 1940s song, and it was my dad's favorite
That's your
song.
dad. That has to be, right?
Yeah,
So he
yeah.
came to be
And
with
so,
you.
yeah, he came to be with me that day and go through that with me, so I was able to get the test done. But he was there, and it surprised me. He was right there with me. So there's things like that, or I'll be watching TV, especially with my mom, because my mother loved to watch Frasier at night with me, real late at night, or baseball. She's a big baseball fan, Oakland A's fan, and so we would watch baseball together. And there's times when I'll be sitting on the couch watching these things, and I can feel her put her hand into my hand because she would do it a certain way to where her nails would kind of go into my palm, and so I could feel that she's there.
Wow.
And then my brother's around. In fact, I had an event in here with him, and I know it was him. And I had set up my camera, and here I was doing a test, and I was doing it again. I had that tracking thing on. I don't know what the hell I had it on for, but I had it on, and all of a sudden on the tracking thing, I noticed that weird things were going on, so I started to ask questions. Hey, who is this? The dowsing rods, who's here with me, and all that. And then the next thing I see is a little message comes up that says, "Am I on video?" And
Wow.
I know it was my brother. Yeah, I knew right then it was my brother. Am I on
Oh
video?
my God. Oh my God. That's so incredible. So that's because they texted through your cell phone, or is this
Yeah,
through some special do
this
you,
is an app. This is an app that actually is supposed to. It's kind of there's an app that's out that okay. There's a machine you can buy that shows what they call stick people. Supposedly you can see stick people that are ghosts through this machine, which is really a cool machine. But I
how do I
also
get
found one
that
for my
machine? How do
phone.
I get this app?
Oh, you can just Google it. It's I forget. I'll have to do it after the show to tell you.
Okay,
But
send
you
it
can
to
Google
me.
it,
So
and yeah, there's a certain name for it. And so I had it through my phone, but it also has an EVP thing on there to where it supposedly will pick up voices. And so that's what where the thing came through on. It was the message that said, am I on video?" Which I thought was hilarious because it sounds just like something my brother would say. You know, my house, I have a full house, and I have an uncle here, I have a brother here, and what I'm told is because of my energy. They like to be around my energy levels,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and so it's kind of nice. It's nice to know my mom's here, so it's comforting for me. And like you
Yeah.
said in the beginning, I grew up in this house, and as a young psychic, I didn't see light beings for the longest time. I would see dark beings. I would see shadows all the
Mm-hmm.
time. And then like that one time I told you about on the show, I think I told you about that, the angel that flew across,
Yes.
in that room. That's the only time I ever saw light beings and stuff. I did see my mom's. I believe it was a doppelganger before she died. And I remember because I used to sleep on the couch because it was always staying close, sleep on the couch. You might have to go to the hospital. And so I was half asleep and I looked up and I swear it was my mother standing in the living room, and then she turned around and walked through my kitchen. And I went to follow her. By the time I got to the end of the kitchen, she was gone. And I thought, oh my God, it's a death apparition. So I go running down the hall, to see. And she was okay. So it might have been a pre-death apparition I saw or something, but it
A
was definitely my mother.
premonition. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
pre-death.
premonition
So
coming on that.
this is very, very interesting. So you live in a house full of ghosts,
Hmm.
and your family are actually some of your ghosts because you actually like
Hmm.
so okay, that gets to the definition of a ghost, because here I am thinking, okay, she takes her meter, she goes to the state mental institution looking for ghosts, or and that somehow I've been thinking that they're trapped in this far dimension far away. And so I've had this, but now you're telling me you actually live with them too.
Yes, yes.
Now, have you
And we do have an agreement because one of the agreement is I know you're here. I know you know that I know you're here. Don't scare me. We're
ah
just going to get along all happy, and that's the agreement that I have with them. Just like I can tell, like if I go on an investigation and I bring one back, with me because they will follow you back sometimes. I can tell
Hmm.
if it's one that doesn't belong here. I mean, it's obvious because all my ghosts are quiet. They'll do things, but they're quiet. Like
Right?
recently, my bathroom door, I saw someone in my dining room the other night when I was coming out of there after the show. But my bathroom door, I was going to ask one of my psychics about it because recently it's been like when I go to close my bathroom door, it feels like somebody's holding on to the knob on the other side because there's
Interesting.
resistance. It
Interesting.
hasn't happened the last couple of
Uh-huh.
days, but the whole week last week it was happening. So I don't know what that was about. But like I
Mhm.
said, I can tell when it's someone that's not here that has come home with me. Like I have a through the wall air conditioner. This house is old, so you have the through the wall giant air conditioner, and something ripped the face part of that off and threw it across the room. That's not my family. My family doesn't do that stuff.
So you okay,
So I had to.
so now we have things being thrown around by ghosts versus departed family members.
Yeah, yeah,
A sort of a
yeah.
differentiating quality. So what's it like for you living in a house full of quote ghosts? Like what's the
For the longest
positive?
time, okay, one of the negatives was that it was very draining. The energy
Mm-hmm.
they suck my energy. The positive is that it's a nice feeling to know that they're here with me. That we're still living our lives together in this house because I never left home. I was going to leave home, and then my dad got sick, and then I stayed home to help my mom, and then she got sick afterwards. But it's a very comforting feeling. It's a plus because I can ask them if I need to find something, and if I can't find it, usually it shows up, or I'll be directed to it and find it, so I know it's them pushing me, to find the stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's a very comforting feeling. People have to understand that after a loved one passes, it's not the end. They're still with you. In fact, when we were talking about ghosts that can't go anywhere and ghosts that are stuck here, my mom and my rest of my family are allowed to go back and forth.
Okay.
Because I know my sister has talked about she slipped in her garage and she felt somebody grab her from behind so she wouldn't fall. She thought it was my mother, grabbing her to prevent her from
Mm-hmm.
falling. So they go
Mm-hmm.
from place to place. But I mean, you do get the ones that are stuck. This one in Woodland in particular, you were talking about that in the beginning. Um, it took us forever to figure this case out because this had poltergeist activity involved with it, where the homeowner himself was causing a lot of the issue, but there also was a ghost that was on the property, and we found out. And I have this wonderful video audio. I wish I could find it now. It's somewhere in my archives of one of our psychic Trish Dolan's yes, Trish Dolan's, and we were in this little room and we were talking to this. It took me to give you the guys an idea. It took me like 2 months to figure this case out. That's how confusing it was and the twist that were in there. We couldn't figure out, and I knew that some of it was being caused by the man because just the way his attitude was. I mean, he even came after me verbally and stuff. In fact, the last time we were there, we about walked out because he was such a jerk. And as it turned out, the wife had told me that he had had a brain tumor that had been removed a few years ago. And I kind of told her, I said, the way he's acting, he's not himself. I think maybe he should get checked. And it turns out he had another tumor.
Mm.
And so that was causing his personality. But he was so irate and so uptight that when he would sleep at night, all this paranormal stuff would happen because it's poltergeist activity. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
so we realized there was another ghost involved in this. And because they had two sons um, that were ill and they were taking care of them. And this was an older couple, like in their 50s, 60s. And it was a lot of work for them. They were stressed out. And so we found out there was another ghost involved. Oh, yeah, autism. The one kid had autism. And the kid with autism the son with, not a kid really, but the son with autism would see this ghost. And so, like I said, Trish and I and a couple of other of my investigators went in, didn't have the video running, had the audio running. And she started communicating with him. And it's what's fascinating is people will never believe this stuff because they see stuff on TV, how the ghost hunter guys do this. Well, when you have a psychic with you, it's a different ballgame
Ah,
because
yeah.
like you guys can see everything and communicate with these people. So she's sitting on the chair next to me, and I'm standing above her recording, and he comes in and she starts talking to him, and he was there because he was afraid the father was going to hurt the boys because, like I said, the father was really irate. And as it turned out, the reason why he was there, he had been a drug addict and he had gotten into an argument with his family. And so he got the idea that when they were all out, he was going to burn the house down and get even with them. And then the problem was he didn't know his mother was in the back room, and he killed her.
Oh my God.
And so he was stuck on this property. And so
Mm-hmm.
he was trying to repent with it all by defending the boys. And so
Mm-hmm.
we finally got him to cross over. And what was interesting about the whole session was that he she tells him, "Well, take my hand and I'll help you to cross over." And so you see her reach out, and then she gets lifted off the chair. And then the second he supposedly crossed over, she released and fell back in the chair.
Wow.
It
Wow.
was pretty
So there's
dramatic.
physical manifestations. So now you when you find ghosts who are trapped, then
Right.
so what you're saying is you find the ghosts that are trapped and then they need to go on to the other side. So like your
Yeah. So
family
we
are not trapped here, but these
no,
ghosts
no, they
are.
just come back and forth. But yeah, that's a lot of the job of what we do is that when there's one that's trapped, we talk to the client, say, look, this is nobody you know, but they're here. This is what we found out. What do you want us to do? Do you want us to release them, or what do you want to do? And the majority of the time, if it's not a family member, they'll say, yeah, we don't want him here. So then we have to do that release, that spirit release to get them back to the other side. And sometimes they don't want to go. Sometimes they're afraid to go. Sometimes like this one, he did something bad, so he's afraid to cross over because he thinks when it goes over, he's not going to go to the happy place. He's going to go elsewhere. So you have to convince them. And I was able to convince him that Trish and I were able to convince him that his mother, and
Got
that's what
it.
got
So
him
he crossed
across.
over. Right. So being in this in between zone is not great. In a way, you're a ghost
Right.
miracle worker, right?
I try, yeah. We try to do the best we can, and people will think we're crazy talking about soul rescues like that, but you run into that a lot, and you run into a lot of sad stories. Like there's a hotel up in our gold country over here that there's these two little children that haunt the thing. I guess they died of pneumonia or cholera or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and the
Mm-hmm.
mother's there, but the problem is the mother died after they died, so now she is on a different plane than they are. So she's looking for them in the hotel, and they're looking for her, and it's sad because they can never
Well,
meet.
now, do you know this personally? Like, if you were there staying in the hotel, would you free them, or they like want to search forever? Like,
They're hard to free because they just want to be there. I mean, the ghost has to willingly want to go over before you can't force them to go over, a
mm-hmm.
dead person. So, I mean, if they're going to sit there and look for their mother, it's sad, but I mean, that's what they're doing. But they're having a good time though because they're little kids and there's a bunch of people in these hotels and the reports are that plates will get thrown on the ground or some or people see balls rolling and things like that. So they're having a good time. The kids are in
That's
between all
pretty
this.
interesting. What's the name of that hotel so some of our audience could go visit?
It's the Holbrook Hotel in Grass Valley.
Aha. Okay. Well, I love
And I
Grass
actually picked
Valley.
an EVP up of them giggling. You could hear them running into the room and giggling
And did you get a
in that
video of
place.
it?
But I
An
got the
audio?
EVP as they were running. We were just setting up to do a session in that room. Because I had brought some peppermint sticks because you got to figure it's the 1800s. So I was grabbing like jawbreakers and peppermint sticks. And my dad used to build wooden toys, so I used to take some of those with me, for these kids, for these different kids in different places.
And they
And
play with it? The ghosts
yeah,
actually
well,
play
I
with
mean, they're
your
going to come and check it out. They're going to come and check it out, and
uh-huh, uh-huh.
it's just to entice them. The other thing we use, and it's something that a lot of people wouldn't use, is they used to sell these things called Firefly in a jar,
Uh-huh.
and Walgreens actually used to sell them. And what it is, it's like this little firefly shaped thing, that electric wire thing that hangs down. And if you tap the top of the jar, it makes it light up. And so I still have like four of those. I use them for communication, yes and no answers. I have an EVP somewhere where the ghost is actually commenting on it because
So
he
it's
thinks
a
it's
it's
cool.
a jar
Yeah,
that you
it's a
put
jar
in.
with an electrical coil going in, a
Mm-hmm.
flat electrical coil, and it's got like what looks like a little firefly that with a light in it inside this jar. So when you tap the top of the jar, it lights up and flies around inside the jar. It's a toy,
Very
it's just something.
interesting. Very
Yeah, it's just something you
interesting.
would use on your patio or just for conversation at your house. But I've actually had ghosts comment on it. They love it. They
They
love to
love
touch it and
it.
tap it.
Oh gosh, so
Yeah, they
that
love it.
you can ask them those questions.
Yes, yes,
Yeah. Now, is this the same thing as when you say going to a seance, trying to connect? Because I went to a seance a couple of years ago and she used this device that was somehow dark. What do you call that kind of sound? White noise.
yes,
And
yes.
then someone would ask a question and then she'd like sit there with it and pick up words in between.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's what it is. And I'm by cat toys because different ghosts like to roll those and they have bells in them. If so, they'll move the cat toys around on the table. There's just different things you use when you're out in the field, and the butterfly, that firefly in the jar works great for us. Oh, that's really cool. And there's other things I use in the field as well. Like I said, my dad built wooden toys, and so when I'm out, I mean, because in the 1800s there were no toys that had batteries or anything, so he would
Right.
build like little wooden stagecoaches and stuff. So I have those or jump ropes or jacks, to put out for these kids. Even like those porcelain dolls you can get at the Dollar Tree, with the porcelain face, to put out there for the era. But you got to do it towards the era. And taking empty bottles of vodka, and filled them up with water, and then sat at a bar like I was drinking with them
Wow.
to get
Wow. See, when
attention.
you've gone into a home or when you've gone into an old building.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I played poker at the Murphy's Hotel with some dead guys too, and it was funny because they were communicating through the light in the room where the light would flicker to different answers, and then when the ghost actually won the hand, they turned the lights off completely,
Yeah.
and we laughed. That's on video somewhere.
Uh-huh.
We
How
laughed
did,
about it.
how did you get into investigating ghosts? Like what pulled you over to, because I can see it's you shine when you talk about it.
I'm very passionate about it. Yeah.
You're
Like
brilliant.
I said, I grew up in this house, and then like everybody's born with this ability, but as you get older, other things take precedence, and so some people never go back and use the ability, and so that happened to me. And I went to college. I ended up going to college. I had my little life thing going. I was filming, like you said, I was filming a travel show called California Adventure. This is Adventure. This is before Disney built their California Adventures. That's why I don't
Okay.
do it anymore because I don't want to get in trouble with Disney. Okay.
Uh-huh. Of course you can
Mouse
change
with
the
more money.
name, but
Yeah, that mouse with more money than God, right? I don't want that coming. And it would be fun to go out with the paranormal team. So I hooked up with the local paranormal team here, and that's where it all really started. We had a TV show for about a year and a half of different paranormal haunted places around here that the team would go to. And then we kind of broke it out. Everybody went their separate ways, and I thought, well, I want to continue with this because during this time with the paranormal team, they had three psychics on staff. Well, the problem is if you have abilities and you get around three psychics, your abilities are going to start to come out again. And
right?
that happened to me. I would go to meetings with these guys, and I would be driving home, and flashlights and stuff would be turning on and off in my car. And I thought, oh my God, what is this? And then it got to the point where I could hear people's thoughts before they said what they were going to say, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that got me back in. And then once I broke off with them, I thought, you know what? I'm just going to start my own team and go from there. And I did. And then here we are, a little over 20 years later, out looking for ghosts and ghost hunting.
So you have your podcast, but do you actually
Mhm.
have a team that you take out periodically
Yes.
to do these? So tell us about tell us about one of your exciting investigations, because I only know firsthand. I went into this old it was a physical hospital that was
Mhm.
closed down in the late 1900s. It was in Long Beach, California. Scared the crap out of me, midnight to go into that
Right.
building. And so it was very dramatic and kind of weird.
I think one of the most favorite places for us to go is either the Murphy's Hotel or the Woodland Opera House. That's very active. And the Brookdale
Oh,
Lodge was very active for us too. But the Woodland Opera House, like every old town, there was a fire, and places burned. And one of the volunteer firemen, forget his last name, William, I know the first name, got caught in there because when the firefighters locked everything down to let the fires burn down, they didn't realize he was in there. William Porter. And so
uh-huh.
he ended up falling through the floor and ended up in the basement of the opera house. He's very active. There's another ghost there that set the fire. The guy that set the fire was there with him and died in the fire. And we know this through EVP and psychic work, And they're chasing each other through the building, which is kind of unique because the firefighter's mad because he lost his life because of this guy, and this guy doesn't want to cross over because he's afraid he's going to go to a bad place. So
Mm-hmm.
the firefighter is there to torment him. That's why he stays. We try to get him to cross over. He won't do it. He wants to torment that guy,
So in other
the guy
words,
that
revenge.
caused.
He's
Yeah,
still on
yeah.
so he's not actually on a positive path right now. He's in his
No,
own
he's just
purgatory.
doing his thing, yeah. But
like
the interesting thing about this is that um, the last time we went, we set off the fire alarms because there was so much battery drain. The activity was so high. Because
mm-hmm.
you will have objects moving in front of you. You can actually physically see objects moving in front of you there. And on the one time we were out filming, it was funny because there's this Polish opera singer, and she haunts a lot of the theaters in Northern California. And so the psychic was talking to her, and it's funny because I have photos of this, and she says, "Here, take a picture. She's right here. She's right here. She's right here." So I snapped my photos, and there's like these white blotches in front of her face where this opera singer is. But it
Uh-huh.
was weird because as I'm standing there, a single pearl dropped from nowhere and came rolling towards me. And I looked up to the psychics and everybody, and I went, "Look, where'd this come from?" 'Cause I thought maybe the roof, I thought maybe it was like stucco from the roof or something coming down, but it was a pearl that rolled towards me because you could actually hear it roll. And I was able to pick it up. Lots of activity there,
And so
and
it
then
was
I was able to
actually,
pick up, yeah, it was an actual pearl. Don't know where it came from, but it was. And we also had an incident there where we were on stage, and I thought, man, I gotta shoot something out there, out to the crowd area, the seating area. And I did, and I picked up a green fog that moved around the seating area. Lots of stuff. And then one of the other investigators who was there happened to be shooting. I don't know if we were leaving or coming in, but she felt she had to lift her camera up and take a photo. And there's a very famous photo that circulates around NorCal. I don't own it, so I can't use it, but it's a very famous photo of somebody walking down the center aisle of the theater.
wow, of
And
a
it's a ghost.
ghost.
I do have one though that I got. I was upstairs. We were there with Channel 10. We were doing a live for Halloween,
Mm-hmm.
and I happened to take a photo. It wasn't me. It was one of my investigators. And I had set up a command center on the second floor, the second balcony, so we
Mm-hmm.
could run the cameras down. And he was taking photos, and he picked up two children sitting off to the right side, about
So
20
your
feet
cameras
away.
actually catch the ghosts, sort of the
Yeah, this was
outline
a
of them,
physical
the
camera
swing
he
of
was
them.
taking photos with. Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
he caught these two little kids in there, apparitions. And I know there's another particular one that one of the investigators took of the stairwell going upstairs there, and I was told by the psychics at that point that there was like a type of theater manager there that was real fussy about who went upstairs, and he didn't like us because we would go back and forth with our equipment, and I happened to, or she happened to be there, and I'm not a big orb person, because that could be dust or anything, and
Mm-hmm.
this it's just when something like this happens where people see an apparition over and over, I tend to believe it, and so right where this guy is supposed to be, she got this beautiful orb, just this beautiful white orb there. And that's the same area where I came walking out, and the psychic was standing there, and I had my video camera, and she was going to come down the stairwell. So I thought, okay, I want to shoot her coming down the stairwell for footage. And she looked at me. Her voice was really deep, and she says, "No photographs."
So that wasn't so someone came through to tell. That wasn't her.
Yeah, in fact, yeah, it didn't dawn on me. The other psychic walked in and said, "That's not her." And then it dawned on me because I thought, okay, I've got a video camera. Why would she say no photographs? So he had channeled through her, to get the message across. He didn't like us shooting video and stuff in there.
Right.
Very,
Right.
very active place. It's one of our most favorite places to go for ghost hunting.
It
Very
doesn't
active.
very interesting. So it doesn't sound all evil and dark and so
No, the
scary.
thing is, all that evil stuff is TV. TV, and,
Mm-hmm.
and they've made our job kind of harder going out because people see this stuff on TV and they think it's like that in their house right away. So when I get phone calls, it's always come over and do a cleansing on my house. This thing's evil. I know it's evil. I know it's evil. I said, how do you know that? Because how can you go from like 13 years ago, 14 years ago doing investigations when it was Uncle Bob or Aunt Martha in your house, and then suddenly everybody thinks it's some kind of demonic thing in their house? It's TV has put that hype on.
So so what's happening is that people are mistaking, say, their
Yeah.
departed loved ones who are always around them for some
Yes.
kind of evil entity because somehow
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
they
And so
need to be.
then I have to tell people too, because come in, just come do a cleansing. Well, the problem is with cleansings, well, it's not like a one size fits all.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to do you're not going to take holy water in with you and start shaking it around when it's a Native American ghost that's in there. You can shaman, from that particular tribe to come in there and cleanse. You just can't go in. And so when I try to explain this to people, they don't want to hear because they see this stuff on TV. And so, I can't even begin to know who or what to cleanse until I know what we're dealing with. So I have to physically go on scene and figure out what we're dealing with, you know? And and so it makes it really difficult. 'Cause a lot of the calls I get, a lot of the emails I get are, oh, this thing's, whatever this is evil, get out, get out, get out. Well, how do you know? Just because it's moving objects around. One of the rules of thumb we have is that um, if it can move more than 5 pounds, then you got something demonic. Because a normal ghost can't move beyond 5 pounds.
Got it.
Because that would take a lot of energy and force.
A demon can.
That's
a
demon can.
The first difference I've heard.
Yeah.
In a sense. Or the energy probably is different too.
Yeah. Kind of like in that movie Ghost when Patrick Swayze first starts trying to move little objects around. He's exhausted afterwards. I mean, it takes a lot of energy for them to even communicate with us, even with the dowsing rods. Because you can tell the dowsing rods will be really strong when you first start out. And if you extend it past 30 minutes, all of a sudden it's weaker and weaker and weaker because that takes so much energy for them to use, to use those tools to communicate with.
I love using dowsing rods. So you use them to talk to them or just to feel their energy. So
we will run them. We'll have the dowsing rods going. We'll have somebody taking photos during the session, and we will have a digital voice recorder going. And maybe we might have a EMF meter down, so that we can get two or three ways to validate. What or who we're doing or who we're talking to, because we got to have that validation before. Because people can, I mean, there's always going to be skeptics, but still, you want to have enough validation on there to say, hey, yeah, this is what happened. This is who we were talking to, and this is the validation we got.
Got it. And so some of the validations you've gotten are like that pearl or like the messages that you're getting or those typed.
Yeah. And then you can take that guy that burned the house down. We ended up going to the county records and verified it all. Because you're able to go and verify all that. Turn in a report at the end for my clients. It's like a 150-page report. Because it's got everything it's got everything that they reported, everything that happened with us during the investigation. It's got the psychic's report in there. And when my people go out, they think I'm too anal, but this is what I do. I want to know what's going on minute by minute. So I will tape a voice recorder into each room within camera view. And that way, if they forget to record their session or whatever, I'll have a timestamp and everything of what's going on in those particular rooms. So I can go through the report and do minute by minute by minute what happened. Because things can change, minute by minute. Another thing I do is I watch the temperature outside and what the weather conditions are. Because damper weather can create more electrical energy that the ghosts feed off. And you get more activity that way. So I'm every half hour I'm checking the weather and writing all that down.
So you do, people contact you for private investigations then, and that's when you go out with your team.
Yeah.
So those are private. You don't record those and put them on your show or anything.
Unless I have permission. If I can get permission to do it, we don't run the address, we'll go ahead and do it. Sometimes we'll go out live, depending on the client.
So when you leave the client and you go to their home and you get rid of the ghost, then I suppose that's transformative for them.
Yeah. But it's also difficult sometimes because, I mean, if you feel like you were scared of something or, whatever, when somebody tells you, okay, now that we're gone, try to ignore that this ever happened. Okay, this didn't happen. Just don't even think about this. Normal human nature that if this ghost is showing up in the corner of your living room, you're going to be sitting in there, and then you're going to be like, I wonder if it's there. I wonder, because it'll bring it back in. See, so it's hard to get people to not think about that stuff. I mean, I do it here. I mean, I'm a ghost hunter, and I do that stuff. It's just normal human nature.
So wait, if you send them off to the light, because that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
But then the client sits there and goes, well, God, I sort of miss them now. Do they come back?
They can. Like I said, my mom and dad or my family can come back and forth. So they do, depending on, where their stage is of, wherever they're at, they have the ability to come back and forth. But you can call, especially negativity, you can get negative stuff back right away because it's still looking for someplace. Once you release a negative entity from, or get rid of a negative entity out of a building or whatever, it has to go somewhere.
Right.
So it moves on to somebody else or some other place. Or it hangs around and waits for another opportune moment to come back in. Because sometimes, I haven't done that, but I've had friends that have gone on cases where they had to go multiple times to get the things out.
I can believe it. And I can actually believe that people will bring it back
Yeah.
inadvertently, but
Yeah.
because I see it in the work that I do and helping people. They're always kind of, we help it release everything, and then a day later, it's like the same
Mhm.
thing again. Or we're like broken. I think humans are like broken records sometimes
Well, I mean, it's
when we
just human
obsess
nature.
on
I mean, when
things.
something bothers you, or even think, maybe your dog dies, and maybe you've seen the ghost a couple of times, and you're trying to forget that. You're trying to get through that. But the minute you look in the corner, you think, oh, the dog used to love to lay over there. It's the same thing, except you're thinking about like, oh my God, that evil thing used to hang out over there, and that's an invitation to to
To
bring it
that
back
evil
in.
thing again. Okay, well, see everyone, that's a warning. So what kind of, okay, so when we get off, I'm like really, I don't know, I feel compelled to find one of these monitors that you're talking about so I can read,
Uh-huh.
because I'm sensitive to energy, but I'd like to sort of explore this. But what warnings can you give us? Like,
Pardon?
what warnings? Like, is there anything to be wary of?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have seen, and this is a big argument with between paranormal people. It depends on where your thoughts are with it. Ouija boards, don't mess with them because
Yeah.
you don't know who you're contacting. Because a lot of these negative spirit ghosts or spirits will act like a normal person. Are you in that way? And then the next thing you know, it's too late because you got all kinds of now bad things happening in your house. And the Ouija boards are horrible because Parker Brothers used to make them. I don't know who makes them now. Same guys that made Monopoly used to make them. But if you go to Barnes and Noble, they have boy Ouija boards and girl Ouija boards. One's blue, one's pink
Okay.
for little kids.
For little
To get them
kids,
into it.
yeah,
Yeah,
to get
to
them
get them into
hooked
it.
up. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I
but
understand.
those are
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. Those are really dangerous for drawing stuff in.
I can believe that. I've been told that, and I've always been leery of of um of those Ouija boards.
Hmm.
And in fact, I was with a woman right before she was about to do a séance. She was going to conduct it, and we were
Yeah.
talking about wing fluffing because I see people's wings and fluff their wings, and she's getting ready to do her séance, and I looked at her, and she used the Ouija board, and I saw two sets of wings. Now, I have really never seen two sets of wings, and I'm not so sure what that second set was. It didn't
Hmm.
feel light. And I'm
Right.
thinking that's from all of that Ouija board use.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the issue. You don't know what you're going to get. Um, and then another thing is people see this stuff again. They see this stuff on TV. They see these guys going out using and doing whatever it is they do. You can't do that stuff because everybody is a ghost hunter now. I've been on investigations where the client has been doing EVP sessions on their own and
Oh,
things like that, which makes it even worse, right? Because they're actually inviting this stuff in, and then when it gets out of control, that's when they call us in to undo it all. And it's like,
got it.
and I know it's tempting because you see this. Everybody's a ghost hunter nowadays, so I know it's tempting to see this stuff on TV and then go ahead and try it. But you got to think about the consequences of what you're doing.
Okay, so in
You
other
know,
words, you're trying to give me a heads up that perhaps going diving into this, maybe unsupervised, might not be a good thing.
right? Exactly.
That was a
You
really
know,
delicate
so
warning, but I get it. Okay, so this is kind of complicated because if you want to connect with ghosts, now that's not like, guys, you can connect with your departed loved ones because they're not really
right.
ghost like in this way we're talking about. But if you want to connect with ghosts, you're actually calling them in. So that's a whole other ball game, and I have to give a
You're
lot of
opening
thought
that
to
door.
that.
I teach basic psychic development. Okay.
Ah,
Because I
okay,
had to, I'm self-taught.
right.
When the stuff started, I had that stuff going on when I was a kid, and then when it happened when I was older, nobody helped me. So I was like flailing, trying to figure all this stuff out, all this creepy stuff. Sylvia Brown, oh my God, she made me feel so good. She used to be on Montel Williams every week.
Right,
And I would come
right.
home from college and I would watch Sylvia Brown because she made me so not afraid of it because I was afraid of it, with all the stuff I was seeing and hearing. And she
Uh-huh.
made it so I wasn't afraid. But I'm a self-taught, really. And so I teach basic psychic development where I teach people how to open up and how to close right away. I teach them how to close the door really
Got it.
fast so nothing negative can come
So
through.
nothing can
Because
follow.
once you open
Mm-hmm.
up and allow that, it's not only going to be nice things that come through, you're going to get negatives that come through.
So I had a weird experience 2 weeks ago. I went to this
Okay.
woman's home, and I was supposed to stay for a couple of months actually. And she left and went out through her garage door. The night before, I had had this weird thought, like, I wonder if I should really be here, because she had been a client of mine. She left to go to her gym class, and she left through the garage, and I must have walked her over, I don't know, and inadvertently locked the door, right, to the garage, because I always did that in my own house. So
Right.
she comes back, she pounds on the door, and she's already angry. And I let her in, and she goes to her room once in a while, locked again, like lock. She goes to her
Right.
room, and then she comes back in, and she says to me, "My pendulum has just told me that you're in my room." Now, that was an absolute lie. What I had
Right.
forgotten was that the night before, when I went to bed, some male being tried to get on top of me.
Oh boy.
And I was just too tired to. I just said, "Get the fuck off of me," and I turned
Right.
over and went to bed, and nothing happened. But I had forgotten to tell her that. Anyway, because actually she had invited me to get rid of this being. So so I did not, actually, the truth is, I don't even know if I locked the garage door. I think that's what I was going to say. I don't think I actually locked the garage door. What I think is that this trickster, this demon, wanted me out of the house. So she comes in and she says, "Are you telling me my pendulum lied to me?"
Wow.
And I said, "Yes." Yeah, I didn't, because I didn't think I locked the garage door. I'm telling you, I think I automatically did, but actually in truth, I really didn't. I never got up from the room and did that.
Right. Right.
Okay. But I can be talked into anything sometimes. So
Right.
she went into a rage, and I just packed and left. And then I got out of there, and I realized, oh, well, that demon just got me out of the house, because he knew essentially that I was going to start telling her that I had seen him the night before, and then the night before that I had seen all these other things. And I don't often see things. So if I lay down and all these images come, then I know. Anyway, so that was so bizarre. She's like in a rage. Are you telling me my pendulum is lying to me? So that's another thing.
Yep.
We can actually be lied to really easily.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And that's what I mean with the Ouija boards. You're talking to, it's kind of like the movie The Exorcist. She's talking about what she called him, Captain Happy. He called himself the demon was Captain Happy, and then it turns into something else altogether different. We've been on investigations where people don't even tell. When we go out, we have a prelim when we go out to talk to people. I have a 125 question questionnaire when I talk to people initially, and while I'm asking questions, one of my friends or ghost hunters are out walking through the house, taking measurements, seeing where the windows are, because we're looking for everything. We're looking for logical before we say it's paranormal. So they're looking for everything. So while I'm doing the interview, because I'm a reporter, I'm looking at body language, I'm looking at all that stuff, when I'm interviewing people.
Interesting.
And so on this questionnaire, we ask them directly, have you done tarot cards? Have you done, Ouija boards? And they'll say, for the most part, they don't want to admit it. A lot of them don't admit it. They'll say no. Trish goes in there, our lead field psychic goes in there. Next thing you know, she's rummaging through their hall closet. And I'm going, what are you doing? She says,
There's all the
there's
tarot
an Ouija.
cards.
There's a Ouija board in here. I know it. And she always finds these things way in the back of the closet. And she comes out and says, didn't you report that that you never touched these, and plopped it down in front of them? So I mean, so you got to look for everything. You have to be really observant with people.
And you have to be really careful when working with these energies. Do you ever see ETs, extraterrestrials, or angels in your work?
No, I never. You know what? Angels. I never didn't see one, but I heard one.
I think we talked about that on the show.
Yeah, I actually heard. I heard an angel talking to the Archangel Gabriel. I actually heard one talking.
And I think you
and that
said
was interesting.
At one investigation, it was like a warning for Gabriel.
Yeah, Gabriel, watch out. Yeah,
Gabriel, watch out.
It was very, very clear. Yeah, and I looked at the investigators, and they looked at me, and we went, "Wow," So maybe we shouldn't be here. If one angel's warning the other angel, maybe we shouldn't be here. It's not a good idea.
Wow, gosh. Well, I have learned a lot from you. This is actually really, I knew this would be an exciting interview.
I'm very passionate about it. I love to help people. That's what we're out to do. We don't make any money doing it, God forbid, But I mean, how can you charge for something you can't? Well, I mean, you do because you got your abilities, but for us, we don't make any money out of it. We just live off donations, and it's all about helping people. We don't care if we're on TV. We don't care any of that stuff. We just want to help people. And to me, it's taken years to put together a proper questionnaire, and put together the proper stuff that goes through people's houses or businesses.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad it took as long as it did. The first time we did it, before we sign off, the first time we did our first residential, we'd been doing it for about 5 years. We've been doing nothing but commercial jobs. Just going out to these hotels. Good way to practice. If you guys are putting together a paranormal team, practice at the old hotels. That's a good chance. You learn to use your equipment, you learn to use everything, and how to handle it. Because when we first had our first residential, we were kind of scared to go because when you go out, and you know this from your work, you're dealing with people's mental states and their well-being and their health. When you go out on these cases, and you have to be really, really careful. And so we were really not looking forward to our first one. Then once we got under our belt, we were okay. But I mean, it's not a game. It's not something to go in there because I've heard about groups that go on these things and giggle and party and all this stuff. It's not like that because you're messing with somebody's life, in their mental state. So I have accumulated a staff where I have nurses on staff. I have former police negotiators on staff. I have psychologists on staff. It's taken years, to put the staff together. But I'm
Wow.
able to pick investigations, and when people say, "Okay, I have 2 kids," I have people that on staff that are parents that have kids. So I'll say, "Okay, I need so and so to go out on this particular case because we got these two little kids we're dealing with," because they know how to talk to them
Wow.
and
Okay.
stuff.
So
So,
how can
okay,
how can people find you, Charlotte?
you can check us out on YouTube, California Haunts Radio. That's youtube.com/at California Haunts. Or you can find us on Facebook. Just type in California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team, and we'll just pop up everywhere. We
That
just pop
is
up
a
everywhere.
great thing. Well, you have given us so much wisdom. And I think one of the reasons I was attracted to have you on the show was that this is your purpose and you're so passionate. And
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that when people live their purpose and they're passionate about it and they're living their best life, and so it comes through, and it's really so valuable. I haven't given as much thought to it until I
Right,
connected with you recently. But and thinking about my sister and her Shalimar and connection, I actually almost
right.
cried at the beginning of the show when you started to talk about how the ghosts come Thanksgiving and Christmas and all the holidays. It actually left
Mm-hmm.
me wanting to cry. That there was something so moving to me about that. So I just wanted to remind everybody about that. Guys, you can reach out to Charlotte at any time. And oh, do you have an
Yep,
email or a way for people to reach out to you?
sure. It's Caesar's Ghost, CESARSGHOST 123 at gmail.com. Well, it's funny because the reason why I'm Caesar's Ghost is I used to watch that TV show Xena, and I was on their forums, and I thought, well, I want to lurk, without making comments. And I thought, well, what would be a cool thing to lurk as? And Caesar, right? Caesar's
As
Ghost. So,
Caesar's Ghost. Of course, of
yeah,
course, of course. You're
yeah.
just brilliant. So, guys, we've been talking to Charlotte. I want you to make sure that you reach out to her at Caesar's Ghosts and check out the YouTube show. Very fascinating. In fact, you'll see the show she and I did last week is going to be
Mm-hmm.
airing soon as well. But you can tell, guys, that living your passion and purpose can make a big difference in helping you really step into the light. So definitely check her out. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share so that we can get the show out. And also make sure you check out joanofangels.com, where you can learn how to shine your brilliance, live your best life, see your soul portraits, and see what you look like on the other side, and let go of everything that doesn't serve you so you can have that transformed life. Because, guys, you can, and you did come here to live your best life and to break free. So there you have it. We'll see you all next week. And thank you all for joining us at Shine Your Brilliance. That was
Thank you.
wonderful. I'm going to think twice about getting that meter to bring the ghosts in and the demons so I could keep my.
Well, at least you see the whole thing is though you can see them and sense them. And these are people that can't see them or sense them. They're just using the meter to see if they're there. I mean, that's where the mistake is.
Yeah.
And Yeah, but by the time they realize whatever it is negative, it's too late. You got and we come with our with our proton packs. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Right, right.
But
Well,
yeah, so
I can sense them sometimes. Not I'm not consistent and I'm not trained. And that
I
seems
can tell if it's a male or female by the energy
aha.
because a male has heavier energy. Well, you can tell when a ghost has maybe because I've had a couple ghosts go through me. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I call it being goosed by a ghost.
Of course.
And I can always tell because what happens is that I was doing a post, well, an opera house, here we go again, and I was doing a post like they do on TV, and you show them the evidence you got and all this, and I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden my stomach doesn't flip, and I thought, uh-oh, and that's when it went through me. I was down 3 days afterwards, sucked all my energy
Whoa. Whoa.
because I wasn't grounded, to go in. I wasn't prepared to go in to have it happen because nothing as it like that has ever happened there before.
I love
That
it.
was the first and last time it ever happened. And as I'm talking to the guy, I just went, "Oh my God, I want to puke." And then I knew what happened because I've had it happen before at different places. So yeah. Another thing you might want to add to this too that was really cute was that my house being haunted. I don't know what goes on when I'm not home, like at night and stuff. But I had a neighbor kid come up when I was unloading groceries one day, and he says, instead of saying, "Oh, you hunt ghosts," because the neighbors know what I do,
Mm-hmm.
he walked up and he goes, "You have ghosts." Instead of, oh, you look for ghosts and stuff, you have ghosts. So it makes me wonder, like when I leave here at night, what's going on if the lights are flashing or what the heck's going on.
Oh yeah,
So
so they
yeah.
can see, it's true. They could probably see some weird phenomenon that happens.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
love.
But okay. All right, thank you. Have a good
I
one.
could actually go on forever, but I do need to say goodbye.